Welcome to the Resellers podcast with tech and sports and daily refinement. We've helped thousands of people save time and make more money by improving their online stores. Check out patreon.com/the Resellers podcast for thousands of hours of full-length ad-free podcasts and coaching calls. Join our Facebook group with thousands of sellers making the transition from hobby to business. See you in the show. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Resellers podcast with tech and sports and daily refinement. I'm super excited about today's podcast, even though I'm excited about every podcast. This one, we're going to talk about what it takes to be the best on eBay, and for the best ever, and also the best you can do on eBay. And I'm excited because we don't really go over this because sometimes we kind of water down the podcast, but just for the everyday reseller. But we want this to be about being the best you could be with your circumstances, and also sort of go over what you've been through, because I think a lot of people don't understand just like the scope and the range of your operation. And I think that, a lot of people thought you were going to pass away after last week's podcast. So I think we have to set the record straight. You're not going anywhere.
Oh, I'm not dying, thankfully, but I did receive a lot of messages. They were all very nice and I do appreciate them. But a lot of them were I was on my deathbed and I made a different kind of announcement. But so I'm super thankful for everyone that listened, and super thankful for all the nice messages and kind words. I appreciate it a lot. But after that podcast was very important for me to make publicly. And I don't really share a lot about myself publicly on the YouTube. I do share a little bit more inside of the group. But that last podcast was really important for me to make, because that was formally releasing the eBay demon from out of me, where I no longer am going to let the competition kind of be a driving force. I'm okay with, as I scale down, someone becoming bigger or better or having a better operation. I did everything that I wanted to accomplish, and that was a thing that I needed to do, announce it publicly, and then that way, I've relinquished all the driving force inside of me that helped me get to successful places and build something that was truly successful. So hopefully this podcast can be kind of a passing of the torch, and someone that does listen to it, or maybe somebody that's in the group, hopefully they can become the best one to do it, or have the best store, or sell the most things, or make the most money. But it does come with sacrifice. It does come with a lot of work, but I'll be totally honest, it's totally worth it. It's super fun if this is what you enjoy to do. And, the boundaries are unlimited as far as reselling goes. So.
Kim is mentioning that the thumbnail for last week's podcast was you walking into the light. I think it's just a different kind of metaphor. You're the one that came up with that thumbnail, by the way.
Yeah, it was a play off of Mel's thumbnail where she showed me as a shadowy figure. Yep. So it was a play off of that thumbnail. And a lot of people thought it was clickbait and it was a troll. And then you come out with a video 2 days later that was totally clickbait and totally trolling, talking about after 6 years, you're gonna what was it? After 6 years,
I'm gonna shut it down.
I'm gonna shut it down, which was after 6 years, you're moving out of your place now, and you've got a 3,000 square foot warehouse. And the best thing about it is people post, "Oh, I knew this guy would fail," and they didn't watch the video.
I know, they did not watch the video.
So amazing how many people just want people to fail. There's not a lot of supportive people out there.
Not really.
You went from what you've been doing for the last 6 years. You've grown your business, yep. And now you've moved into a 3,000 square foot commercial space. Beautiful job on the clickbait. And that one is up to 50,000 views after 2 days. So it's really weird, man. And I just wish everyone would be positive. Everyone would just strive to do the best that they can, and, all be supportive of everybody. And, congratulations to you and your staff for making that step, because that's a really big step.
Thank you. I want to use that metaphor for going towards the light. A lot of people use reselling to fund the next project. And it's pretty common, actually. If you look at a lot of entrepreneurs, they learn the basics of selling from eBay. If you start with nothing, or you collect sports cards as a kid, or you any kind of hobby, you learn about the secondhand value of something, especially if you have limited funds.
Absolutely. And one of the best things about reselling is that it teaches you every single aspect of running a business, marketing, accounting,
Yep.
Inventory levels, turning over your inventory, ordering, consistency, customer service. It runs the full gamut of everything that you need to learn to run a successful business. And like you said, it can be a great launching point into, and it was for me especially. I used eBay money to build my landscape company, to eventually build tree service, to eventually start the brick and mortar store, maybe do the sprinkler thing, do the pool thing. Like all of these things I used, what I refer to as the bank of eBay, to buy equipment to make those businesses run successfully. So, like you said, there's no better investment than a business that is profitable. The second best investment would be something more passive, maybe real estate, or if you choose to do the stock market, maybe stock market. People refer to those as passive, but they're not always 100% passive. Everything needs attention. So like if you could use reselling as a launching pad, to start another business, or to acquire real estate, or to invest in stocks, or invest in your own retirement, I think that is a great utilization of reselling on eBay.
Okay, so I want to jump straight into this be the best topic. So I am positive all the people who thrive and crush in every single platform and everything, not just reselling, they understand the rules and the basics better than anyone. So as an example, I've met a lot of successful eBayers and resellers in my life that when they go sourcing, they know the profit of pretty much everything they're looking for before they even buy the item. They know what could go wrong. They know how to store it. They know how to photograph it. They know this is $10 profit. This is $12 profit. This, I would lose money before they even buy the item. And we're talking about one item. People think that like scale, so things don't apply to them if we're talking big business or small business, but big business is just lots of small business. It's lots of one item. So if you can't identify all the things that can happen with one item, you can't build a big business.
You can't. And, knowing your numbers is paramount. And we've been focusing on that for the last 2 weeks inside of the group, which is very great to revisit that topic. But if you don't know your numbers on a small level, not knowing your numbers on a larger level, or making a mistake, can absolutely cripple your business. Because as you grow larger, most time the margins begin to shrink. So any sort of bloat or any sort of bad decision has a humongous ripple effect if you're running a larger operation versus a smaller one. If you list 10 items a day, you make a bad choice, it's no problem. You can move on. You lost $8, no big deal. If you're listing thousands of items and maybe you move, if you move into a warehouse too soon and you can't afford it, that's a huge problem. If you hire staff and you can't recoup that cost, that's a huge problem. If you go out and buy 10,000 items and they flop, that's a humongous problem. Like there's a lot of things on the large scale where everything has to go exactly right. Otherwise, you can sink your battleship and really mess up everything that you've worked so hard to do to get there.
Absolutely. In the morning call today, we were talking about thrift route, and your thrift route, I thought it was 49 different stops, where you're saying, you texted me back, it was 55 different spots.
At the peak. Yeah. At the peak, it was 50. It wasn't 55 different thrifts, but it was 55 different stops.
I see.
So it was roughly like 35 to 40 stores. But some stores that were high velocity, I would hit twice. And there was a couple that I would hit 3 times a week. And that's also interesting because they were talking about today where you reach a certain threshold where you can no longer find the gold and the silver items, and you have to accept lower quality items like the bronze. And they were even talking about all the way down to the cardboard items. Mm-hmm. But I was thinking, when I was listing 120 items a day, I was still very, very high quality silver and gold items. It wasn't until I got to 250 and started having the inventory brought to me where my threshold for acceptability went way down. But it was more of a widgets per hour operation now versus back then I went to 55 stores a week. And then I also went to the flea market 3 days a week. And 2 of those days, Saturday and Sunday, I went to 2 flea markets each of those days. I would go to one flea market in the South on Saturday. And then and on Sunday, I would go to a different flea market in the North. And on the flea market days, I would wake up at 4:00 in the morning and get to the flea market at 4:30. So it would be 55 stops, 3 days a week at the flea market. 2 of those 3 days, I would go to 2 separate flea markets. But, the moral of the story is, in order to get 120 gold and silver quality items, I had to go to 55 different thrift stores every single week and go to 5 different flea markets, if you want to call it that, just to filter out that many bad items to bring home the acceptable items. And if you're listing 5, 10, 20, 30, 50 a day, in my opinion, for most people, if you live in the country, I'm not talking to you. If you have to drive 8 hours, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to people who live in your everyday normal metropolitan area that has an abundant amount of thrift stores. There should be no fluff whatsoever inside of your store. And if you are resorting to picking up fluff, it means you are not doing enough brand research and you need to continue to build the Rolodex.
That's probably the best way to name it, the fluff. Like
it is. It's fluff, and it's not laziness, but it's the sacrifice of not going to another 2 stores to just pick up items because they're there, so you can go home.
That's right. I think that is the easiest thing to get lazy on, because you see something that's like maybe it is profitable.
Yeah,
but doesn't meet your threshold or an ideal, or it's just super commons, but it might make you a couple bucks and you want to go home, then you pick it up.
So when I was doing 120, I was very disciplined on picking up those silver and gold items. But if there was a day where I was coming up dry for a lot of stores, my threshold dropped. Yeah. Like I was picking up stuff that normally I would pass on. Because you can't go to 5 stores and come home with nothing.
Yeah.
And that was a trap that I used to fall in from time to time. But I tried to be as disciplined as possible to stay at those silver and gold items. And for me, my definition of that, when I was doing it for my business, and everybody's definition is going to be different, was items that sold for $30 and sold through within 90 days. That to me was your silver item. The gold was anything worth more than $30 that sold through in 90 days. So if I found a $50 jacket or a $100 jacket, number one, first and foremost, is sell through. And then second is price. That's how I always looked at it. But like I said, like if I went to the flea market and I was striking out, I do know I lowered the threshold, and that's not what we want to do. We want to stay disciplined. It's good to have a little bit of a queue at home, so you're not forcing your hand on making a buy. But there's a difference between a queue and a death pile. A death pile doesn't get worked on. A queue is in the rotation. It's constantly moving, and you're working on it. But I just wanted to throw that out there. That does happen, but we have to remain disciplined.
So this morning we were talking about how to actionably increase your ASP, because your average sale price, it usually goes down because you start picking up all gold items. Then gold items are gone, now silver. So you have to start high. If your gold item is only $5 profit and it's only down from there, you're in big trouble.
There's no room for scalability. So you said the word gone, and I don't want people to confuse that with other people are taking those gold items.
Yeah.
The gold items are gone because you're already buying them.
Yeah, that's right.
And you've streamlined your processes where you can list items quicker. So you need to pick up more items because you want to increase your listing goal. So if your threshold was 10 gold items per day, and you've learned eBay, you've learned the process, you've learned how to list, but you've run out of $30 items. Now you need to start picking up $25 items. And then once all those have been picked by you, now you need to pick up $20 items, then 15, then 12, then 10, then 8. And one day you look up and you're listing 250 items a day. And you have such a wide net because there's no one can point anybody in the direction of 250 cc Filson every single day. It's just not out there. And if you can point me in the direction, please, by all means.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because I got the email. Can you wholesale me items that sell between 25 and 100, and I want to pay $8. I mean, that sounds great, but that doesn't exist. It doesn't work. No.
Right. Or, these guys who have brick and mortar stores that are similar to mine, sell me all your Tupac shirts for the cheap.
Yeah.
Sure. Absolutely. Like, sell you the items that are going to sell. Or like,
Yeah.
I ask people, what are you looking for? Carhartt, workwear, Harley, and rap tees. Everybody else is too. Oh yeah. And I want them cheap. Everyone else wants those too.
And I want them cheap. That's
and
right.
I only want size large and extra large. That's it. No
That's
medium
right.
wrap tees. I don't want those. So like, there comes a time where like, you can't just go for
Yep.
the size 32 to 36 Carhartt double knee, and you might have to get a size 29.
Yep.
It will sell, but maybe on average, it's going to take longer to sell than a 34-30 double knee Carhartt that's priced under market.
Yep. So Tommy's asking, how do these numbers line up if you're primarily sourcing at the bins? Okay. So the first part is we now recognize that there's gold medal stuff, which is the best stuff you can find in your area. And if you want to increase your ASP, there's only a couple of ways you can do it. You can either increase your geographical reach, drive a little further in one direction to find the right spot, or you could pull more items out of the same geographical area. And you can only do that if you go to the stores more often, or you have more stores within that. But that's why we came to the discussion of how many stores you were going to. And I asked everyone, how many stores are on your route? And I'm making a list mentally right now of all of them. And I want to see, if I go to all these places, am I just going to run in the deals because that's how math works? Or am I going to blank at 30 in a row? I don't even think that's possible.
If you go one day, you might blank 30 in a row.
That's true.
If you go for 10 weeks, you will not blank and you will find the best of the best inventory.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I say, I went to 55 stores, again, every geographical location is different, but the way how we're set up here is that all the thrift stores are pretty much on the same four corners, wherever they're set up. It'll be Goodwill, across the street, it'll be Salvation Army. 2 blocks away, it'll be a family thrift, and across the street, it'll be another thrift. So like, in order for me to do my routes, I had to go to like those clusters of thrift stores. And it would not be possible if it was 20 or 45 minutes between every single store. So luckily down here, they're kind of all in clusters. And that's why like every day I went to a certain city or in a different direction where there was between 6 and 10 stores in a cluster. And no store within that cluster was more than 10 minutes from the next one. So, maybe that did play a part in me being able to hit as many stores. And everyone's thrift route is going to be different. That's why we can never calculate it. We can calculate photo time. We can calculate listing time. That's apples to apples. That's the same. And like Freddie said, the East is the ocean. The West is the swamp. So like there's only 20 miles between ocean and swamp. And once you find the cluster, it's 7 minutes that direction, 7 minutes the other direction. You got 10 thrift stores. So maybe that did play to my advantage. However, there's different advantages to every single geographical location. So that isn't the sole reason for the success. The success is I went 10 weeks. I didn't go once. And you guys were talking about this morning how, so maybe people, they got the hookup, maybe they know the manager, maybe this, maybe that. And then people were talking about, well, how do you get in good with the thrift? How do you get in good with the manager? And the conversation moved to, you have to spend a lot of money and you have to, make a lot of deals. But I argue against that. If you go to Subway every single day and you order a turkey sandwich, they know you.
Yeah.
And you spent $5. The name of the game is going there. It's not about how much money you make or how much money you spend at the thrift. Just going there over and over and over again will open you up to the conversation. And if a manager knows you and knows you come every day, they might say, hey, I just put out a bunch of jerseys, go check them out. But it's not about how much money you spent. because I can go to Subway every single day and spend $5 and they'll greet me by name and have my order already beginning before I even ask them. So it's about showing up, not about how much money you spent.
Bro, I feel like you haven't been to Subway in a long time. I think it's like $9. I
think it's $7, right? Yeah.
No, but
Subway, I went to Subway every single day during my lawn days because we would always stop there and get. So yeah, I'm dating myself on the Subway $5 footlong.
But I love it because that's true. It's not about, because you actually look like an ass if you go there and spend $2,000 and you've never been there. It looks
and
weird.
Walk around like a big shot. There's a guy around here who owns kind of like I don't know, like a Chotsky store, and he sources at all at all the thrifts.
Yeah.
Hopefully he doesn't listen to this because we're like real close to the cutoff portion. But I used to be on the racks minding my own business, and he used to come in and go, "What do you have for me today? What's in the back? What do we got?" Like yelling all over the whole store like a total big shot. And like when he left, the employees were like, "I hate that guy." But like, I just mind my business, get my stuff, and move on to the next store.
Yeah. And I guess Michelle reminded me that I thought you had all these crazy hookups. When I first saw your thrift store pictures and all the bags, I'm like, is this guy just driving to the back room at every single store? And then you told me that you move in silence. And I'm like, what?
The reason why I never went the route of like the hookup route or making the relationship with the manager is because down here, you'll go to a store and next week they got a new manager. Yeah. And the week after that, they have another new manager. And it's like people spend all this time and invest all this time on like trying to get in with the manager. And next week they're at a different store. And like, it never made sense to me to like work the manager or like try to grind them down or like try to get stuff in the back room when in 2 or 3 weeks, they're going to be working in a totally different Goodwill. So I just went there, got the stuff on the racks, developed the Rolodex so I didn't pass over anything that was profitable, and went on to the next store. And when you're going to 8 stores a day, you don't have time to sit there and BS with the workers for 30 minutes at every single store and small talk. You have time to get the stuff, prep it when you're standing in the line, cash out, and go to the next store. I don't have time to talk to people and try to get stuff for free. I just rather buy it and go to the next store.
You know what's interesting? You're not there to socialize, but that doesn't mean that you're impolite or you're not courteous or you're not saying how's it going. That's different than
That's different than trying to rub elbows to get something that's beneficial to you.
Yeah.
We know what we're talking about. The people that are only nice for their benefit. No, I'm nice and polite to everybody. I pick up stuff from the floor. I put the hangers away. I take the hangers off. I put stuff back that's in the wrong section. You know, that's good thrift karma. But like to go in there and ask people, "Oh, how's your kids? How's your mom doing? I overheard your mom was ill the other day." Just so it's for your benefit. That's not for me.
Yeah, I think people can sense it's fake, and also Goodwill employees can get fired for doing that. Totally. So like some of them are not looking to lose their job. So yeah. you might be pissing them off by asking them for a discount or a bulk deal or what's in the back. They're like, I could get fired. They're watching me on camera.
Yeah, totally. Or you like develop this friendship and they feel obligated, and then they jeopardize their job and get fired by giving you 5 pieces of polo. That's not worth it. That's not right.
Yeah. And I think it does. The consistency part is huge. That's true. You do not have to spend a lot.
You don't.
I think that's a huge misconception.
No. And when I used to walk into the thrift stores, they would greet me because they know, because I'm a good customer and I come every single time. It wasn't about how much money I spent. It was about just seeing me all the time.
Yeah. They're not using you to hit their sales quota. That's not what they're looking like. They see this guy coming in. Okay, that's another $200 for the till. No one thinks like that. So I think a lot of resellers are kind of have this attitude like, you need our money. I feel like the thrift stores don't need your money. They can sell a Nintendo 64 to the next guy.
Totally. And we need them. Imagine if there was no physical location that prepped items and presented them to us in a manner where they're like, please buy this and sell it for more money. And we're totally okay with that. Like, how ridiculous is that?
Yeah. And I think that, the best thing you can do is be courteous and be helpful.
Yeah, courteous, helpful, and show up. And the reason why I always used to get the best stuff is because I saw the most stuff. I saw millions and millions and millions of pieces of clothing in my time. And I used to count the hangers as I was thrifting because that's how boring it is sometimes. And like I did the math. I used to touch over a million pieces of clothing per year at the thrift and come home with 6% back then, 60,000 items a year, and used to touch 1 million pieces of clothing.
Yeah, the way to increase your ASP is to just have more reps, look more and know what you're looking for more.
Know what you're looking for more is the key, because you could look through as many items as you want, but if you don't know what you're looking for, it doesn't matter.
Nina says there's a lot of elderly regulars at the thrift that just go there to socialize.
Yeah, sure are. Absolutely.
Actually, that's a very common pastime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Garage stores, thrift stores, looking for stuff.
Because those folks are on a budget too. So like they go there and they buy something. Absolutely they are. And even those people, I'm not buying anything from them, but they were cordial. They said hello because they know me because I go there every single week. So it's not about the transaction of dollars. It's about showing up and being there.
Bundle Cat says that their outlet prices by the piece and they've decided certain brands are worth more. This is interesting because there's no way they know their Rolodex should not surpass yours. That's the main key. Whoever knows more profits more.
Sure. And that one outlet most likely is not the only game in town. And if it is, it's 2023 and we have the World Wide Web available. There's no way one place should put us out of business. We know how to get clothing. We know where it's at, or whatever kind of widget you sell. You can source online. You can source from other people who buy. There's other places to get stuff. But with that said, it is getting more difficult. So when I first started, stuff was very cheap. Like you can get football jerseys for under $5. Now it's not uncommon to see them for $20 at the thrift. So like the time has changed. And now it kind of goes like this. Stuff comes into the thrift. The employees know what to look for. Whatever they miss, they put on the racks. There's way more thrifters than there was previously. And every day there's more. What gets missed on the racks goes to the bins. There's way more shoppers at the bins because it's way more popular, especially on TikTok. If it gets missed at the bins, it goes to the rag house. Rag houses are way more popular now. And there's people looking at the rag house. And then it gets shipped to a port city like Miami or Los Angeles, where there's more people at the rag house. And then it goes overseas. But with that said, employees looking, more thrifters, more people at the bins, more people at the rag houses. With all of that said, I am getting more clothing every single day than I've ever had the opportunity to get.
I know. That's insane. The fact that when you started, it was a more limited market, but now people are now buying secondhand as a trend. So it's become huge. And
it's only going up. So the secondhand market, the vintage market, the pre-owned market is going to outpace any kind of clothing we can collectively list on eBay.
Also in that cycle, sometimes it goes to another country and then back here.
Absolutely does.
So that's pretty amazing, the cycle and just how many opportunities it is to find the great item. And there are great items that make it all the way through the cycle and don't get found.
Absolutely. We find them every single day.
Yeah.
Marcus Dixon Pickens on YouTube.
Yep.
He found a $1,500 wrap tee at the bins.
Yep.
He sent me a picture. He's like, is this good? And I didn't see it for 45 minutes. I almost jumped to the phone. I was like, please tell me you got this and did not leave this at the bins 45 minutes ago. But he's like, no, I got it. I just wanted to show you. So yeah, he found a $1,500 shirt at the bins and that he said someone threw back.
Yep.
So that's the key. The knowledge is the key. He was knowledgeable enough to go, this is single stitch, this is old, and this is the right subject. Some bozo threw it back. I'm going to pick it up and sell it for $1,000. That's the key. You found an Indian head sweater
Yep.
probably on the floor in the mud
Yep.
at the Oakland flea market, that went through the racks, that went through the rag house,
Yep.
and that got wholesaled out to your supplier, and none of those people along the way, including your supplier, knew what it was. And you got it for what, $8?
Yeah.
That's why knowledge is the power. Knowledge is the power in this game.
Thank you for listening to the Resellers podcast with Tech and Sports and Daily Refinement. If you'd like to listen to the full episode, please check us out at patreon.com/the Resellers podcast for all information, all our full-length episodes, over thousands of hours of coaching, and our Facebook mentorship group, which is $35 per month, just about $1 a day to help you get to the next level. We appreciate you guys. See you next time.